You're listening to the Light Novel Podcast. Visit us online at lightnovelpodcast.com. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Light Novel Podcast. In this episode, we've got a whack ton of news to start, because even though we just had a big licensing to do, all the companies decided to drop a couple extra titles because, I don't know, because they felt like it. And then tonight we're going to be talking about the first volume of There's No Way a Side Character Like Me Could Be Popular, right? This one is the premiere title from the newest light novel releaser on the block, Tentai Books, and it's a rom-com slice of life, which I think we've only ever covered one other one in the entirety of our program, so we thought it was probably about time. In any case, with me tonight, got most of the gang. I've got Flies.
What it do?
I've got Bio Gundam.
Standing
by. I've got Jean-Luc.
Bonsoir.
I have Mirage.
Good morning.
And I have Terrence.
Here in body, maybe not in spirit. We'll see. It's very late.
Come on. If an old fart like me can get through it, you'll be fine. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
So first we'll get
Justus is just hooked up to an IV full of Diet Monster. Okay.
That's right.
As an ambulance driver, he has access to that type of stuff.
Well, I've just dispatched the ambulances, but you know, I've got connections, so it's all good. All right. So, first off, we'll do the news. First, just a couple of tidbit thingies. Okay, so Square Enix, who already has been releasing light novels in the past, has announced that as of January, they are going to be launching a brand new light novel imprint called SQEX Novel. I personally think it's just so that they can have Square Enix like pimp their name in more stuff. But it's kind of interesting because they're taking 3 series that are currently being published by Earthstar Entertainment, which is Didn't I Say to Make My Abilities Average in the Next Life, Reincarnated as a Dragon's Egg, Let's Aim to Be the Strongest, and Der Werewolf, The Annals of Vite. 2 of these, of course, we have licensed in English, and those are now going to be put under the SQEX novel banner, which has a number of people kind of questioning just, does this mean that Earthstar is kind of on the downgrade? Is this just, again, like, you know, to try and get Square Enix to have more stuff with their personal brand on it? Don't know. And we really don't know what it means for these titles that are like for Abilities Average and The Werewolf, which have been licensed in English. We don't know if it's going to affect those licenses. We hope not, but we'll see. They've announced 6 other titles that are going to be part of this launch, and all of them are currently on Naru on the website. So these are all straight Naru licenses. And I'll just read you the titles because some of these I'm like, oh. I was banished from my adventurer party, but I'm happy they left without me. So, oh great holy woman, would it be so bad to be pursued by you?
Wow.
That's a fucking mouthful.
Yep. Have I entered the route of being doted on by the villainous?
Yeah, the second like villainous gets popular, more of the stuff just keeps on popping out of that fucking mudwork. Holy shit!
Right, and like I just see like this is going to become a whole thing about dudes who fall in love with the villainous, and so that like she can treat them like crap. You know, like it's just going to be that whole fetish thing. With the all-powerful rural development cheat, I live an easy, slow life. Yes, it's a village. So what? I don't know, man. Boredom-hating ceiling user. In prison, my occasional roommate is an old man who is the only ceiling user in the world, so to kill time, I became his apprentice.
Wow. With titles like these, we need a synopsis.
Right?
Really.
Seriously. The party's gopher support member longs to be banished, Banishment is now the current fad, but my party members overestimate my value and won't let me go.
Indeed, banishment is apparently now the new fad.
Yes, banishment is another one. And finally, when 4 people who have negative skills gather and their synergy creates the strongest party.
So basically, they're like a black hole. They're so negative they just like suck everything down.
No, I think what it more is that when they are with other people, their abilities or whatever are like drain on things, but together they complement each other so much they have become the greatest party ever.
That one could potentially be good depending on the writing.
It like of all of them,
But
that
I'm
is
not
probably
sure. But I'm not sure if that gimmick can carry for more than one volume.
well.
Because
I mean, that's
once you've discovered those synergies, what else is there?
right. Well, this is kind of the thing. Exactly. What the hell do you do now? Yeah.
Becomes
So
a
basically, I
generic
don't
fantasy
think-
story.
Yeah.
I don't think this is going to be a problem for the English licenses because Square Enix has licensed a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah, it's
Yeah.
just whether I mean, I don't think it'll be an issue. I just wonder if it'll become a thorn in their ass because they'll have to rewrite because they'll no longer be licensing it from Earthstar. They'll be like I mean, honestly, I think you're right. I don't think it's going to mean suddenly that there's going to be a problem and they're not going to be able to
like Square Enix
get these things.
novel label stateside isn't going to try to steal the licenses from another company. I hope
Yeah,
not.
no.
Also, like Square Enix probably has like better things to invest in. Like it could be that they picked this up during a deal or something, or maybe Earthrise is on the downfall and they need like, well, fuck, we need to make some extra cash.
Yeah, it does make sense too if they want another label to bring it up by bringing in established properties to at least put that name out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're right. Like I think that's probably exactly it. Like like I said, I think honestly that this is a move by Square to establish a light novel label because even though they've put out books, they haven't really. It's not like they've got just a light novel label like a lot of the other big publishers do. And I think you're right, Terrence. I think absolutely. Like they're putting a couple
if I remember
flagship
correctly,
titles.
they have half a dozen already.
What's that?
If I remember correctly, Square Enix has half a dozen different labels already.
Well, they do, but I don't think. But I can't remember if any of them are really like dedicated
And I think
light novel, or if they have a mishmash of stuff. I don't know.
They have
I
like
can't
a
remember.
gaming one that's current, and I think they had old labels that didn't last, like in the past.
Yeah, like I remember on light novel before the light novel database went kaflunk. I remember they did have a couple labels under Square Enix, but it looked like most of those titles were older. Like it didn't look like it was really they were really active. Now again, maybe that was just because it hadn't been updated. I don't know, but in any case, we'll see how it all kind of shakes out. Although I have to admit, given these titles that they've licensed, I mean, I'm not jumping cartwheels over it. We'll see. Anyway, the other little piece of news that is kind of not new, like it's news, but we don't know what exactly it means other than we're getting porn.
That's always a good thing.
Well, FAKKU, who, if you're not familiar, they used to be a site that did nothing but fan translations of hentai manga, pretty much. Doujins.
Yeah, they had some pretty good shit. Like I used to browse FAKKU when it was like for free.
Yeah, and then they became a paid service. Then they went the route of Crunchyroll and became a legitimate company, and they started.
And that's when I immediately swapped to in hentai.
And then they started licensing some manga and stuff like that. Well, they recently put out a call for translators for light novels, and they literally specifically mentioned light novels. So yeah, I mean, there's really nothing else to say about this other than, given what FAKKU is known for, we have to assume that we might just have some more adult light novels on the way, which I kind of find is interesting because Soul Press did that one. They've only ever done the one volume of it, and it didn't really seem to take off.
Yeah.
Like, I really didn't seem a lot of people
I
talking
read
about
it.
it.
I was like incredibly bored. Like
Yeah.
I've read other books. I'm just like, oh, this is spicy. But I'm just like, meh, boring.
And not only that, but it got kicked off of Amazon pretty swiftly too. So that didn't help.
Big surprise
They
there.
can't even sell it on their
Yeah.
own site. Like Soul Press can't sell an adult series on their site because they're scared of their credit card company or whatever.
Oh, jeez.
I
You
don't
know,
think
think
that's
of
a
the
problem
children.
for FAKKU.
Oh my. Well, yeah. Did they get a deal with FAKKU? I think they got a deal
yes,
with FAKKU
yes. So
about
it's still
that,
on
didn't they?
FAKKU, but
Okay.
that's still very niche. I mean, obviously FAKKU's going to do their own stuff and sell it there. That's one thing. But yeah, it's,
Well, I kind of wonder.
Yeah.
Then if maybe it's done well on FAKKU, and that's why now they're kind of thinking that they're going to get into it. Maybe I don't. I like. We have no idea what this is
Yeah.
about. We just and funny enough, I only found out about it because it was actually translators passing it around, saying, "Hey, if somebody's looking for work." Like this wasn't covered by any news sites or anything. It was just the ad for it being passed around. Not to mention that like they were advertising it was like guaranteed full-time wages with health benefits, paid vacation time. Like some of the translators were like, how the hell do you have legit companies that aren't offering this kind of stuff? And then the porn company is offering like
Hey, listen. The thing about a lot of these porn companies is they deliver. All right.
well, that's we always say,
Oh.
that sex is where the money is, right? So
Yeah, exactly. When the cash comes in.
yeah, right, exactly.
It's not the only thing that's coming in, but
Oh, well, somebody had to get into the innuendos. Come on. All right. Okay, so moving on, we're going to talk about a couple of licenses. First thing, this I'm not going to get into every single title because there's 7 of them. So Manga Planet has licensed 7 Yuri, and they are calling them super light novels. So basically, these things are about 10,000 words each, so they're about a fifth or so the size of a regular light novel volume. And apparently they have a lot more images than an average light novel. So it kind of reminded me, sometimes you would see this done by Western publishers where they would have like a big name author write a novella and then they would have a whole bunch of illustrations in it and sort of sell it as a graphic novel, but it's not a graphic novel because it's a lot more prose than it is comic. But so that's what it seems to be. So there's 7 of these titles. They're all Yuri. They're obviously quite short reads. I saw one person say that the idea is that they are kind of meant to be consumed on your cell phone kind of thing, like, just really easy to consume while you're on the go. Probably they're short so you can complete them in like a bus ride, stuff like that. Maybe that's the idea. So anyway, that is happening. I'll have links to the actual like website and stuff in the description down below of this podcast. So if you want to go check it out, you can do so. Like I said, there's 7 titles. I'm not going to go through them all because, yeah, we've still got another 8 titles to get through. Okay, so 7 Seas dropped a couple of titles on us. The first one that they brought out, that they're bringing out, is called I Swear I Won't Bother You Again. It is Kondowa Zettai Jama Shimasen. Series is written by Reina Soratani with artwork by Haru Harukawa. This one, it's only 2 volumes so far. Succumbing to long simmering jealousy over her younger sister, noblewoman Violet snaps and does something terrible. As she languishes in prison, something unexpected happens. Time is rewound, sending her back to the day she first met her sister. Armed with the memories of her disastrous first go-round, Violet is determined to take the script in a different direction this time. So another in the, these are sort of a growing popularity we're seeing in light novels coming over in English, right? The whole going back in time, doing it over again, fixing what you did wrong the first time, etc., etc.
Problem is the first one that came over Moon Empire is probably also the best one, so I'm not quite sure if I need to.
Well, I think this one sounds like it's a lot more of a personal type story. Like, it's not quite the whole my whole kingdom went to shit and I need to fix it kind of thing. It's more like our relationship was damaged. So anyway, that's, I don't know.
How easy can it be not to kill your sister?
Well, I don't know.
I don't know. Do you have a sibling?
As long as
I do,
as
yes.
It's not a revenge story, it's fine.
Yeah, no, it doesn't sound like it's a revenge story at all. Although the bigger announcement, obviously, that they had is she professed herself pupil of the wise men, Kenja no Deshi wo Nanaru Kenja. This one written by Hirotsugu Ryusen with artwork by Fuzi Choko. This one there's like there's 14. The 14th volume is coming out of this one. It's been ongoing since about 2014, and there is an anime that's currently in production. So I believe it's coming out in 2021. Sakimori Kagami has woken up in the world of Arch Earth Online, a VR MMORPG he's been playing intensely for a long time. The catch? He made some adjustments to his character when he last logged on, which he thought he hadn't saved. Instead of his normal avatar of an old, bearded sorcerer, he's in the body of a young woman. Now he must convince the people of this world that she, is a pupil of the wise man who vanished without a trace 30 years ago. I know nothing about this series other than it's popular.
Oh, it's a good one.
Is it? Okay. I'll take your word for it.
I haven't checked it in a while, but from what I checked way back then, it was interesting.
All right.
Like a lot of comedy jokes, so should be good.
Now, do we know, is it like one of those trapped in a game, like he's reincarnated in the game kind of thing, or is it just he's playing the game? Like, how do we know how that works?
Well, it felt to me like Log Horizon.
Oh, okay.
Because after a few chapters, you kind of get the gist that he's not alone. There's other players, but they've been there for a while.
Oh, interesting.
So, like, he has friend that he eventually meets.
Oh,
and,
okay.
they laughed at him for screwing up his character. But, but like his friend knows that it's him, but the rest of the world is just the pupil of a legend.
Okay.
But
the legend is himself, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
because I think there's like I don't know if it's 100 or 1,000 years that has passed in that game world since he last logged in.
Well, they say 30 years ago, but I thought.
Oh, okay.
But maybe it was longer. I don't know. Sometimes they screw up these things.
Well, I read it like a few years ago,
okay.
My memory isn't that accurate about the time lapses. But there's an amount of time that passed. So
okay, and they also did license the manga for this title as well. So all right, so that's what Seven Seas has mentioned so far. Yen On came like just kind of out of nowhere with like a whole whack ton of licenses. Nobody really was expecting anything. First one they brought out is If the RPG World Had Social Media. This one's by Yusuke Nita with illustrations by Yukinotu Amekaze and Lol. I don't know why there's a second artist, but when a fantasy world has fully functioning internet and smartphones, for some reason. It's only natural for its 16-year-old hero to declare war on the Demon Lord via text message. But is it natural for that Demon Lord to be an innocent snowflake who hates conflict? Take a peek into this unfortunate hero's chat log with a unique group of RPG characters like an overly pure demon lord, her cheerful generals who all adore her, and the kidnapped princess who seems to be developing a major crush on her captor.
So this is like Twitter, the light novel, minus the cancer.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Yes. Exactly is what this is.
I'm just imagining like people like posting like things about magic, and then someone comes up, no, that's been debunked by an academic.
Fake news.
You can't cast fireballs using soot. You have to use dragon shit. Debunked.
I don't know. It sounds funny, man. Like you know what?
I'm just imagining, like, just wars breaking over tweets and memes and downvotes and everything is just like one giant endless flame war on the internet. It's just amazing.
Well, I mean,
it sounds pretty realistic to me.
Yeah, honestly, like really, and again, you think to yourself too. You're like, when you think about how many people like use the internet as a mask, basically, how many characters in this thing are not going to be at all who we think they are? You know what I mean? Like, they seem like this big, huge, like macho, like warrior and stuff on social media, and then the main character finally meets them, and they're like this 6-year-old kid or something, right? Like, I don't know.
Immortal bullies.
It kind of reminds me of a little bit of Durarara, how they have their like little chat room.
Oh yeah,
and, yeah. They all know each other in real life, but some of them don't know who is which username, and some of them act like completely different people while in the chat room versus while in real life.
Yep, exactly.
So it's kind of like that.
Doesn't Isaiah hang out in that fucking chat room and he just uses it to get information as well?
Yep. Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But that's in character for him.
Yeah, that is character.
It's amazing.
So it'll be interesting. I'm kind of curious to see how it'll even be written, right? Like how much of it'll just be like streams of posts. I don't know. It could be.
I mean, listen. If the author's going on Twitter, they have plenty of fucking material to work with. Okay,
it'll never end. The other one they got is The King of Death at the Dark Palace. Man,
ooh,
yeah.
Ichi.
Get your grim on. Story by Tsuki Kage with illustrations by Meron Tomari. When a sickly boy succumbs to illness, only to reawaken as a weakly undead, his first thought is not of horror, but joy. Sadly, his delight is cut short by the realization that he is still not in control of his own body. The excruciating pain that plagued him in his previous life has simply been replaced by the necromancer that brought him into this one. Now, to win true freedom, he must put his unlife on the line and fight for his dark master. Yeah. The King of Death at the Dark Palace. I love that title, man. That's great.
It's not long enough.
It's not.
It didn't tell me what it was.
It's not a paragraph. I don't know.
Right?
About it.
I don't know. I'm not even going to pick it up because it doesn't tell me what the first volume's all about in the one title. Can you imagine if it was like The King of Death at the Dark Palace? I was resurrected by a necromancer after being a sickly child, and now I must fight for her to save my unlife. That's what they should have named it. Anyway.
Yeah.
Now I get it.
Right? It's like, oh, that sounds cool now. Okay. And then I won't get too deep into this one. Children Who Chase Lost Voices from Deep Below and 5 centimeters per second. These are the, I think, last two Makoto Shinkai films. These are the actual novelizations of the films. Vertical has the 5 centimeters per second. It's like another side, which is sort of told from opposite points of view. So these are ones that pretty much Jens picked up all of Makoto Shinkai's movie adaptations and put them out in single volume hardcovers. These are the last two films, and they're doing them as a combined, I guess, because they're shorter as prose. I don't really know, but that's what they're doing. So that was the other third thing that they announced. Okay, and then the last thing is Soul Press. Soul Press. We weren't really sure what was going to happen with Soul Press, but they came along with 3 new titles. And I think these are all the micro magazine, right?
Yes.
Okay. So these are the... We kind of thought it might be because we were like, nobody else has announced these titles, so it has to be Soul Press, because who the hell else is it? Unless there's some new company that's just going to suddenly pop out of nowhere and be like, surprise! Anyway, which honestly, it's 2020. It wouldn't surprise me. So, Soul Press, first one that they have is, Let This Grieving Soul Retire. Woe is the weakling who leads the strongest party. This one is written by Tsuki Kage with illustrations by Chaiko. Hold on a second. This is the same author as The King of Death at the Dark Palace. Hold on. Huh. Unless I'd have to I didn't even notice that before. I'll have to double check that to make sure it's the same like kanji or whatever for the name, but they're using the same English, so maybe it is. The golden age has dawned for treasure hunters who raid treasure vaults all over the world in search of glory, despite the dangers. Immeasurable wealth, fame, and power await those who prevail. Let's be treasure hunters. This promise between Cray Andre and his friends came to a sad conclusion when young Cray realized he didn't have a treasure-hunting bone in his body. Yet for some reason, people's expectations of him continued to grow, as did the danger to his life. While his friends became greater, greedier beasts, Cray mastered the art of begging and pleading. Witness the weal and woe of a man who just wants to retire.
So, fun fact, another title by that same author would be Defeating the Demon Lord Zettai.
Oh, is it?
Oh, it's that guy.
Okay. Holy crap. Well, I only read the first volume of that. I wouldn't have remembered the name even if my life depended on it.
Which one?
I just looked it up.
How to Defeat a Demon Lord's a Cinch when you've got a ringer.
Ah.
Okay. So, all right. So, holy crap. So, this is now an author that's had 3 titles licensed between 2 different companies. Interesting. Huh. Maybe he can finish the Cinch, because isn't that like stalled at the 4th or 5th volume?
Yeah, I think some people were joking that, I didn't remember that it was this one, but some people were joking that they were like, I don't know if I'm going to pick up another one of this author's works if it's going to be, unfinished and incomplete or stalled.
Right?
Yeah.
Is it just like on hiatus, or like it's not selling as much Soul Press is taking a while?
I think it's just stalled or hiatus because if I recall, at one point there was like a illustrator change, and then I don't know what's going on now, but yeah,
I don't know.
It's had troubles.
Well, and it's I mean, it's a yen on title, so it's not like it's I mean, sure, yen delays the hell out of things all the time, but not to this extent. Like if there was material, they'd be putting it out, because it's been a year and a half since the last volume.
I think the last one, volume 4, came out in Japan in June 2018.
Yeah, so okay. Yeah. So it's been a while, so I don't know. All right, so the second title that they got was I Surrendered My Sword for a New Life as a Mage. This one written by Shin Koduki with illustrations by Nekomi. One day, Soma learns that he was reincarnated from a powerful swordsman. In this life, however, all he wants is to master magic. When he learns that he has no skills at all in this life, he gets left behind by his family. With no magic spells, most would assume he'll never be able to cast even a single spell, but Soma isn't ready to take no for an answer. So, I was a great swordsman, but I decided to be a mage, and I suck as a mage, so my whole family just left me. Wow.
What a loser.
Pick up your damn sword.
Try and do something different.
See? Stick with what you know. Stay in your lane. I don't know much about that one, but okay.
Are there any light novels where a main character becomes a janitor because they're so talentless?
You know what? We should write that shit.
I believe there is though.
Oh!
There is. I'll see if I can find it later. But there's one where a guy his skill is basically household chores. Like that's the special skill he's discovered after years. And he, of course, he has a harem of women around him too. But they show him on the cover with like a mop. I'm not even joking.
He's cleaning the streets.
They shortened the title a bit for the English version.
Oh,
the original Japanese translation was quite a bit longer.
Oh, yeah? Huh. Well, I guess they're just trying to make it snappier for the English cover.
Well, it's all right because people are going to shrink it in 2-syllable anyway.
So the original, the literal translation of the Japanese title would be: in a past life he was an invincible swordsman. In this life he longs for the magic of another world.
Oh, okay. Well, when you put it that way, I'm like, actually, I've heard of that one before. Yeah.
Yeah, probably when Micro announced the license.
Announced it, yeah. All right, and then the last one they have is The Game Master has logged in to another world. Story is by Akatsuki with illustrations by Meron Tomori and Yui. This MMO is taking the world by storm. Become a GM today and gain access to unique and powerful abilities. Masaki Todo, game master for the popular MMORPG Britannia Online, collapses on his way to a ramen shop. I'm sorry, I can't.
What? There's no truck?
There's no truck? And what, he just dies going to get some ramen? It's not even like he died in the office because he was overworked. He was taking a break to get some ramen. Wow. Harsh. When he awakes, he finds himself in a world ravaged by war and chaos. In this new world, countless other players have been summoned from various games and forced to do battle. The moment he arrives, Masaki is put on the execution block. If he wants to escape, he'll have to call on his powers, a collection of GM-only skills that even cheaters can't replicate. Okay, so it's just he's OP.
Is this Sword Art Online the sequel?
Right.
Did Ricky Kawahara's just like, yeah, I can't make a Heathcliff prequel, so you take care of it. We'll finally find out, like, hey, Kiaba, why did you do this? I have no fucking clue. Like, clearly it was a deep message, it's in the kanji, translate the deep mythology of why he trapped 10,000 or God knows how many into a death game. It's super deep, guys, trust me.
Yeah, for sure. All will be revealed.
He was bored.
Yeah, right. He was bored and he just really hated people. Yep, there we go.
Listen, we live in a society, green text.
All right.
In literature, we call this a plot hole.
It's a hole, okay, but I don't know if it's plot anyway. All right, so that's it for all the licenses. J Novel Club, by the time we post this episode, J Novel Club will have announced like another 5, just to try and keep us busy, so it's all good. And who knows?
Save that for next time, please.
I mean, should we talk about a certain novel author going back on the mend?
I know you're super excited about this bio. I know you are. So supposedly the author, not supposedly, he himself has said on Twitter, the author of The Faraway Paladin, sounds like he was ill, and I'm guessing, was it like kind of like mental illness? I don't know. It was
apparently he replied to one of my basically I left a message on Twitter and apparently he replied to me, so apparently he's actually getting better. Yeah. By the way, this reply was in English, by the way. I'm just like, ooh. Yeah. All right, that's interesting.
Yeah, so if
there are Japanese authors who speak English.
Well, so if you've checked out
you can't always assume, but anyway, I was like, oh, cool. No. Yeah, but apparently from what I've been able to tell, he's working on the 5th volume right now as we speak. Apparently he's like 3,000, 6,000 words into it.
Yeah. So if you've checked out The Faraway Paladin, which we're actually going to finish up that series on another episode of this very channel, you've got stuff to look forward to because the author is back feeling up to it and working on new stuff, which is cool because it's actually a pretty cool series. So it's
go check out his Twitter. Like, it's getting pretty wholesome. Like, it talks about him playing D&D with his friends, going out for walks. Like, like, it seems like, whatever's happening, it's gone now, and he's getting back to, writing his series, because I'm waiting for Justus to read the third volume, because I want to see his reaction.
Well, you'll be here when we talk about it. All right. Okay, so for the rest of our episode, we'll be talking about There's No Way a Side Character Like Me Could Be Popular, right? This one's
too long, just call it side character.
Well, we will be for the rest of the thing. The author is Sekaiichi with illustrations by Tomari, at least for the first 2 volumes. I believe the third volume they change artists for some reason. This one's put out by Tentai Books. Like I said, it was their first title, their launch title. Also the first book that they've done in print. And it is a slice of life romantic comedy about a character who is feared pretty much because of the way he looks. This is
he's got like the thug life tattoos, and he's got like his eyes are like the devil.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, so the character's name is Tomoki, and so he's feared. And he has like one friend in the whole school, which is his buddy Ike, who is like the exact opposite. He is Mr. Popularity, good looks, personable, the whole 9 yards. Anyway, one day, for the first time, Tomoki meets Ike's younger sister, Toka, and Toka ends up confessing to him that she's in love with him and she wants to date him. And of course, since it's like only been one day, he's kind of like, so, what's the real story? Because BS.
And he's thinking, he's like, wait a minute, I'm not going to get any hentai with senpai.
And hilarity ensues. Yeah, that's like, I mean, really, it's your pretty straight ahead, like, rom-com light novel setup. And I mean, we'll talk more in depth, obviously, about the background of their quote unquote relationship and stuff like that. But, yeah, so you know what? Let's start talking like characters first, because I actually like the characters in this one. We can talk about Tomoki Yuuji first. So our main character, the man frightened that everyone is frightened of just because of the look in his eyes. Like, is this a thing in Japan? Like,
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay, well, fair enough.
They can see your fighting spirit. Like Minamoto Musashi even wrote down in his book, the Book of Five Rings. Never let anyone see your fighting spirit. They can see his fighting spirit. It projects this aura of a ferocious dragon that plans to consume and swallow them whole.
It doesn't help that he has a scar. So it looks looks like he got in a badass fight.
It's pretty obvious where the author got his inspiration from.
Well, I mean, it's Toradora
for this
all
character,
over again, right? Like, yeah,
Toradora. Hi.
Yeah, it's Toradora easily. Yeah, exactly. Although,
except this time it isn't a tsundere loli.
No, well,
the problem is that in this case, the author tries to make the story hinge upon just one character and give him a harem. In Toradora or in Gamers, we had the whole interconnection of all the different relationships, which made it more interesting. For this one, it's for the first volume, it's okay, but I don't think it will carry on much longer.
It's like kind of one note, right?
Well, I get what you're saying. You're right. Like definitely it plays with pretty much the single theme of Toradora, that whole idea of judging people for very simplistic reasons, right?
Yes, and then
I mean, Hagenai has that same thing as well. Like, guy looks like a delinquent, but nah, he's just half Japanese.
Well, and I mean, again, like Tomoki is that good guy character, right? Like, looks like a villain but has the heart of gold, looks like a villain but is actually really helpful to people. The one thing that I was kind of glad about with this book is that a lot of light novel authors, when they make a character like this, or a character that's kind of a pariah because of a reason that's beyond their control, the person's like stupidly jaded, like to the point where you're kind of like, I really just don't even like hanging out with you, kind of thing in the book.
Oh, you mean Hachiman?
Well, certainly Hachiman is like one of the first people that comes to mind, but
it kind of felt that way in the beginning. Like the beginning of the book, Yuji really he annoyed me because there was a lot of self-pity. Like, oh, I'm just a side character. Like, I know it's to plug the title, but like, oh, I'm just a side character. I can't amount to much, and everyone's scared. And like, you have a lot of proof around that people are starting to warm up to him. So like, and he just continues with that, and eventually it goes away, kind of.
It doesn't.
So it kind of
Spoiler, it
better,
doesn't.
but
Oh, jeez.
well, I mean, let's face it. Like, I mean, he's still a decent guy. It's not like he hates society.
I think a correction is that he's a good guy, but not exactly a nice guy, because there's a couple of scenes where he gets to a few fights. I'm just like, I'm getting like main protagonist from like Psycho May vibes. Like, this guy can kick ass.
Well, that was kind of the one thing that, again, I kind of laughed at because
it's the dragon.
Well, but I mean, how many times is it like, oh, that guy looks like a delinquent, but honestly, he's like no good in a fight or whatever. Whereas like Yuji Tomoki, like when push comes to shove, like he kicks ass. Like
we don't even know why.
At a certain point that because of his look, like he got a lot into fights because people just provoked him, and like he didn't have any choice but to defend himself, and he kind of learned how to fight as it went, but he's not an offensive person.
Yeah.
Yeah, listen, the Chinese have a saying, under every rock is a sleeping dragon and crouching tiger. And that's him.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of felt that, like, here's the thing with his character, and I did appreciate that. We'll talk a bit about Toka, but the thing that I liked about that was she called him out on his whole like self-defeatist attitude. Right? Like I like the fact that she, we have this character that, like you said, like when he starts off, it's very, oh, they can't help it. It's my fault that I look this way. I can't blame them for being scared or thinking that I'm a frightening guy or I'm going to kick their ass. And Toka's like, you're stupid. Like, why are you even saying that kind of crap about yourself? Like, yeah, it's their problem because they didn't bother to get to know you. And so I kind of liked that there was that calling out of that part of his behavior. It wasn't just something that he kept spiraling without anybody else kind of going, you know what, man? Like you're just pitying yourself and basically letting people walk all over you for no good reason. And
also, like something else that I liked about Yuji is the fact that he might be a bit clueless about other people's like feelings toward him, but he's a smart guy. Like there's a lot of places where like other protagonists would just have like had no clue what was going on, but like he's smart. He has some insight in some situation, but in specific other situation that like we need a story, so
well, but I get exactly what you mean. My feeling on it was kind of like if it came to him recognizing that people weren't frightened of him and that they actually were treating him with kindness or liked him and stuff, that he seemed to have a hard time grasping. But when it came to like reading people and being kind of like, I don't think that's your true intention, right? Like you said, like when Toka confesses to him, he's immediately like, bullshit, right? He's like, there's no way that that's actually what's going on here. Whereas, like you said, some other protagonists would have been completely dense and not even thought that at all, right?
Well, in this case, it works into the other thing. He can't even imagine that someone would be nice to him, that someone would be in love with him. So that's the only conclusion he can arrive at, regardless of whether or not it's true in this particular instance.
No, fair enough. But I thought there were a couple times in the book that it came across that he had a bit of a read on people if he was separate from the situation. You know what I mean?
Well, but if it's about himself, he always comes to this conclusion. They can't be serious. They have to be afraid of me. Best example is Kana. Because to the reader, it's obvious the whole book that she has a thing for him, but he's always, she's afraid of me, she hates me.
Well, I liked how the author wrote that, because I mean, yes, okay, obviously as the reader, you're like, she's totally into him, because, I mean, but at the same time, we are coming at this as light novel, manga, and anime fans who are like, obviously the childhood friend is going to have a thing for him, like, come on. But I liked how the author wrote that you could, if you were like, Yuji, where you had this sort of slightly warped sense of yourself and how people see you, it's conceivable that he could feel that way, right? Like, her reactions to him still walked that line where it was like, okay, because of his somewhat warped sense of self, it's not like he's just being clueless and stupid. It's just that he can't interpret it any other way, which I know is kind of what you're saying, Mirage, but, but I don't think it bothered me as much because that still felt different than, say, a character where it's like, a girl is jumping on him naked and saying, take me. And he's like, there's no way she likes me. You know what I mean? Like,
my interpretation was that for the beginning of the book, he only mentioned Ike as his friend. He never even mentioned Kana being his friend. So I just pretty much assumed that she was like everyone else who judged him based on his looks. And then what pissed me off about halfway into the book was when their whole me and Toka are pretend dating, and Kana like goes up to him and is like, are you seriously dating her? Like, why do you like her so much? And like he honestly says, oh, well, she doesn't judge me based on my looks and she's kind of cute, I guess. And then she like reverse cards on him like, oh, so you only judge her, but you only like her because she's cute? Like, that's very shallow of you. I'm like, don't you and everybody else in the entire school judge him based on his looks? Like, that's kind of a hypocritical like comment, right?
Yeah.
It's like an Uno,
the book
no
up
you.
to that, like the book up to that point never really hinted that she was like his friend, like when they were kids or whatever. So like that's the interpretation I got, at least.
Yeah.
Some childhood friend.
Well, she wasn't Yuji's childhood friend. She's Ike's childhood friend. And like even the relationship between, like, the friendship between Ike and Yuji only started like he's like a year or so ago. Like, it's not like they've been buddies for ages kind of thing. It seems like, because they're in second year of high school, I got the feeling like their relationship only went back to like the year before or whatever. Like, it's not like they're bosom buddies that went up through kindergarten and stuff kind of thing. So that was my take on it.
Kana will be the main focus of the second volume. So,
well, obviously, because she's on the cover.
There's going to be a lot more backstory about her.
Oh, okay. Well, good, because I mean, she really doesn't get fleshed out much in this one. She just seems to be either, like, again, depending on how you interpret it. I mean, yes, most of us interpret it as she has a thing for him, and that's why she's giving him the nth degree about things. But depending on how you interpret those things, yeah, like either she seems like she's judging him the same way everybody else does, and she's being hard on him because she's being protective of either Toka herself, or she's being protective of Toka because of Ike, and she doesn't want to see, him getting sort of hurt by proxy kind of thing. So yeah, like outside of that, you don't get a lot of her development as a character. So yeah, I mean, it doesn't surprise me that she's more the focus of book 2. Plus, like I said, she's on the cover, which automatically, ding ding, she's going to get cover girls always are going to get at least some time in the book. Come on.
Maybe they might focus on the teacher. That would be a subversion.
You know what? Like,
we tricked you.
Well, but you know what? Like, so the teacher, right? Like, Makiri Chiaki. So Makiri, I don't know, man. Like, she was an interest. I don't know why, but I just was like, who the hell are you? Like, there is just, I don't know, man. There is some backstory there because of the way that she reacts to Yuji and the way that she kind of tries to encourage him. And I mean,
yeah, she likes the bad boys. She can imagine Yuji driving a motorcycle with tattoos. Yeah. Oh, he's so dangerous and such a bad boy.
She must have. She had to have wronged him somehow, like behind his back or something. Like, there has to be something there that, like, she could have stood up for him at some point. Like, maybe she saw something that he got implicated in. I don't know. But definitely there's something.
Well, there is this mystery incident that gets mentioned a few times in Volume 1.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
never hear
my guess is that this will have something to do with the teacher, and that Volume 3 will focus on this.
Yeah. And I didn't get like...
We'll learn about it when they have lessons at night.
And my other guess is that she will join the harem in Volume 3.
She didn't get huge she didn't get like huge harem vibes in this volume. Like, I didn't get the sense she was like in love with him.
She does get some in Volume 2.
Hell yeah, teacher-student relationships.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Fuck yeah.
I was kind of hoping it wouldn't go that way, honestly, but
the teachers, it's okay. The teachers never win.
Well, that's true. They really do.
We all know that Toka is going to win in the end. That's
it's kind of
why I said
she has no competition.
That's foregone conclusion, because first of all, she's the first girl, then she's the tsundere, and that's two reasons why she's going to win in the end.
Well, what happens if she becomes a teacher herself?
She's not going to be his teacher, so that doesn't matter.
Yeah, but Toko isn't really a tsundere.
Like, not a...
Oh, yes. She is always insisting that that they hold hands or feed each other or something like that. Even if they Yuji says, "Oh, we're only pretending," and in the beginning it's not so bad, but once she realizes she does have real feelings for Yuji, she always tries to get close to him and become clingy and become jealous at other women, girls he hangs out with, and
but that doesn't necessarily make her a tsundere.
Yeah, that's not tsundere at all.
She's always getting angry at him for stuff that she shouldn't get angry at him with.
Yeah, listen, at the beginning she became a tsundere, then she became a yandere during their pretend relationship. It's like, they could have pretend sex, or he could pretend to pull out.
Oh, stop it. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway.
The thing with all the tsundere, yandere stuff, like, it's like archetype that helps readers understand, like, in a single glance, like what the writer is trying to say. Like, you don't need 50 pages to develop a character. Like, bam, it's a tsundere. It's a generic kind of
it's a template to, like, it's like a template that you can flesh out more.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's a
template. And of course, she's not the worst example of that template that ever graced light novels, but it's recognizable after all.
Well,
like it's never gonna be unique at the beginning of the series. Like most characters that go by the templates start off pretty generic in one note, and then as the series goes on, it's the author's job to make them into unique characters in the archetype.
Yeah, exactly. But it saves a lot of time in presenting that character. But
Toka, it's
I feel like she's a bit more fleshed out from the get-go.
I agree.
Like she's more like a moody teenager than a tsundere that just like for comedic effect that will reject the main character just so that the romance can drag on. Like in this book, like you have the pseudo relationship that will make the romance drag on and on with the different volumes. So you don't really need that kind of character in my opinion.
I think she's more witty than the average tsundere, like joke-wise.
Yeah. Like she's more she's kind of
plays off him.
Well, yeah, like she's more playful, I would say, than it's tsundere. That was my take. Like she actually like kind of like teases him and stuff like that. Like, you know what I mean? Like it didn't. Yeah,
most of the time, I was talking about all the instances when she's getting jealous, when she shouldn't be because officially she's not officially she is, but as far as he knows, she's not his real girlfriend.
Right. Well, but again, we as the audience know that that's basically just showing breaks in her armor, right? That she and again, it shows, like, this is the thing. It shows even her own insecurity, because as much as she's smart, as much as she's cute, and all this kind of stuff, even she is afraid that if she admits to Yuuji that she likes him, that it'll be the end of things. That, you know, she wants to keep this pseudo relationship going because she figures that that's the only safe way to make sure that she can stay with him, and hopefully it'll become something more. But, you know, she seems really afraid herself to actually try and push it to do that. Now, again, I'm only talking about the first volume because I haven't read any more. But
I wish I could talk about some of the stuff that happens in volume 2. Because it would be
I told you
relevant here, but I.
I told you not to read it. I said, Mirage, we're not going to be talking about the second one.
I love it how Mirage is just fulfilling my place in the oh no, he reads the spoilers. How dare you?
Right? It's usually Bio. We're like, Bio, stop it.
Pistols at dawn.
Right?
I mean, she had the opportunity to confess to him herself, but then she pulls a shotgun Ashana where she confesses he's like, what? I didn't hear that. And she's like, oh, never mind.
Yeah.
And like,
I thought maybe she was, I mean, I think she mentions like there's something she can be good at that only she can do and that he can't help her with, which is, I mean, I would think it's obviously getting him to fall for her, like, as like the most important person in his world or whatever. But like, I thought that the way it ends, it sounds like she's okay with confessing. Like, she's fine with going forward and confessing. Like, it's not like he has to admit he loves her first before, you know, they can officially go out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that she might be scared to tell him her feelings, because like Yuuji from the get-go, he says that he's not interested. Like he's gonna do it like for her, for Ike, but he's not interested. So even like she develops feelings, but she has no idea if it's the same, if Yuuji has feeling for her. So that's the insecurity coming in, and we'll see as it goes.
The problem is that both of them clash so much, because throughout their fake relationship, he always keeps reminding her, like, yo, this is fake, so you don't have to be doing all this stuff. And the reason he says that is because he assumes that she would never actually like him for real either because of his whole self-conscious thing. Yeah. And that gives her the wrong vibe, thinking like, oh, maybe he doesn't feel anything for me.
Yeah.
Like, he's just going with this because he agreed to it and he's, like, kind of stuck in the situation. So, like both of them completely misunderstand what they're trying to get out of the relationship.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that. Yeah. But I also agree that you're right, Jean-Luc, that if she got to the point where she was confident that what really needed to happen was that she needed to confess to him, I think she would. I don't think she is that kind of character that would just sit back and wait because she won't take control. In fact, we kind of see that she is kind of a character who will take control. I mean, when we find out the reason that she actually approached Yuuji to get him into this relationship with her, it's like, I mean, the whole point where she's like, I wanted to make it sound like I'm dating you because it helps me avoid all these other guys that come up to me. That part I thought was predictable, but for her to turn around and basically be like, yeah, it's because my brother talks so much about you and I hate him so much and resent him so much, I wanted to take something away from him.
Yeah, I felt so...
Like...
yeah, that is when I was reading the book, I'm like, okay, book, you've got me interested now. I'm going to plan to read more volumes. Like, at that point, I'm just like, ooh, spicy.
I'm hoping they develop why she despises him so much.
Yeah, and they do.
Well, I think
because they only give us like little hints here and there throughout the first book.
I guess I'd like to see more. Yeah, I'd like to see more specifics, but they definitely say the reason why, which is kind of like, you know, he's always the one that teachers talk about. And like, your Ike Haruma's
it's because like he overshadows
because she has an inferiority complex about him.
I still would like to maybe see like a flashback or something where we can see like how that was so painful, like and like really get into like why she's so determined to prove it.
Well, and I thought that worked really well in terms of her, like when we're talking about this theme of this idea of people judging you for things that are beyond your control, right? I thought I liked how this book looked at that in different ways. So we have the obvious one with Yuuji, which is his physical appearance. And granted, yes, they allude to this whole thing that he did. What was it, last spring or whatever? Was it spring or summer? I can't remember. But anyway,
it's usually either spring or summer where, like, the incident happened.
Yeah. So they keep alluding to this incident that kind of justified in people's minds to think that way of him. So we have that whole thing about appearances, but then with Toka, we have it because she's being compared to her brother, which again is completely beyond her control. But it's that same thing. She's being judged by something that isn't her. It has nothing to do with who she is as a person. To me, I thought that really did a lot to flesh out her character, that we find out that, why is she getting great marks? Well, it's because she's killing herself to get great marks, because that's what Ike's sister has to do, right? Why is she so pretty? Well, because she puts so much effort into it, because Ike's sister has to be, you know what I mean? Like, all of these things that she's pushing herself and hurting herself and kicking herself over because she can't be as good as him no matter how hard she tries, whereas he doesn't seem to do anything.
Well, when you consider like Japanese society and how it's incredibly collectivist, that's a shame-based culture, like it's no wonder, because it's like, well, her brother is like this, so she has to live up to that standard.
Yeah, well, exactly, right? And as I said, I thought that, again, it's that same theme of somebody being judged by something that's beyond their control. She can't control who her brother is and what he's like and everything else. And yet she's all the time, because she's younger than him, she's being compared. She's being judged based on her performance compared to his. Even when she talks about how, like, she swears, whereas he doesn't. He's always such a smooth talker and stuff. And she cusses and things like that, right? So.
It's because he's generic nice guy.
I'm actually interested to see if that, like, him being the generic nice guy, he isn't actually the generic nice guy. Like, he's got some shit about him. Like, I'd be interested to see if that's the thing, because it'd be like, oh, you thought he was the nice guy? Well, whammo, no, he isn't. He's secretly the villain.
He's secretly the villain. I get kind of the feeling that he's gonna be the good guy. I don't really think that they're gonna do a reversal on Ike's character. I kind of feel that is who he is. There's so much energy that becomes apparent that he has used to try and make it so that Yuji can have a better reputation. Like, we get the feeling initially, we think, oh, Ike's using him so that he doesn't have to do as much work in the student council and stuff, right? Dumping all these jobs onto Yuji. But as the book goes on, and as you have other council members that end up coming into the sort of focus, and we find out that they have a positive opinion because they know that Yuji's done all this stuff, I kind of felt differently. I was like, oh, this is what, like, Ike's not doing this as a malicious, lazy thing. He's doing this because he realizes that if people see Yuji being selfless and being helpful, it will kind of show them that, you know what, he's not this scary thug guy. He's not this, violent person, that he is capable of being a really good guy and helpful and everything else. So I don't know, but I kind of think that Ike is really going to turn out. I think if anything, the big reveal is going to be that Ike is gay and in love with Yuji.
That's one thing I don't think.
I thought that was the secret of, like, she was trying to steal him from her brother or something. And, like, he talked about him at the dinner table. I don't know. It just...
now that I think about the fact that
he already has one gay love interest now.
Well, yeah. So I don't think this story will have two gay love interests.
Like, I wanted to, touch the subject later on, but, man... The side stories. Yes. What is it with all those yaoi short stories?
Yes.
Man?
Okay, and this is it. And that was what kind of cemented my whole feeling about this whole thing with Ike. Because, like, I mean, no matter how close you are with your buddy, you don't look at him and go, I heard some girls today talking about how much they love being hugged from behind. Would you hug me from behind so I can see what it feels like? Like, that's not a conversation you have with people.
Yeah, and then he comes back with the chin thing.
Listen, this is beyond the bromance.
I don't think that side story. I haven't read the side story because it's not part of the ebook.
Oh no, it's only in the.
But I don't think it's canon.
Yeah, it's only Tentai Books exclusive TM.
Yeah, I bought it from Tentai, but I bought the electronic version from Tentai, and it's not in there.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's a print book exclusive. That was one of their bonuses to if you bought the print version.
You're gonna have to buy the physical copy, sucker.
Well, I mean, like, I'll admit I got a good laugh out of those stories, but I mean, the whole point of them was basically putting Ike and Yuji, although not exclusively just Ike and Yuji, into these compromising positions that were almost always started because Ike was like, I wonder what it's like to be hugged from behind. You know what? If cup my chin and make me look into your eyes and I just...
Hey, listen, he just wants his homie to give him a reach around, okay?
The first two short story, I laughed like, oh, okay, that's fine. But man, after the sixth one, like, come on.
Kind of reminds me of a certain scene from a Classroom of the Elite, which summed up was pretty much just the male characters looking at each other in the bathroom and being like, damn, dude, you got a nice cock.
Oh.
Like, are you watching the third season of Golden Kamuy?
Yes, I am.
Like, it kind
hilarious.
of came out, same thing, out of nowhere, like, poof, Yahoi glory.
Okay, I haven't watched Golden Kamuy, so I don't know what you're talking about. But
watch it; it's fantastic.
But
it's good, but third season went a little bit far.
Well, okay, but I guess I was just because to me, Ike is one of those characters where I thought either he is that sort of island in the sea of everybody else, right? So like he's the guy who never gets connected with anybody romantically. He's just kind of the guy that tries to make everything work, right? Like he's the guy that was trying to kind of get Kana and Yuuji together, right? Like to try and get them to connect a bit. He's the guy that's been trying to get Yuuji to get more involved in other stuff so that people will see he's a good guy. Like he seems to be this sort of do-gooder, you know, like kind of more interested in helping everybody else than really worried about himself. And I was kind of like, either he's that character or he's interested in someone very specifically that he's not, you know, going to go for because of whatever reasons, right? And then when you read those shorts, those side stories, and I'm just like, man, total bromance. Like there's
You know, it's like, you know, I'm pretty sure the author based this on like, you know, the Epic of Gilgamesh, because after they fight, they actually like kissed and stuff, you know.
So yeah, I don't know. Well, okay, so what you think? So you think that character Kai is like a gay love interest?
Listen,
probably more of a comic relief gay love interest, but yes.
Tradition.
Okay, 5 of you talked at once. What?
So probably more for comic relief gay love interest, but yes.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Can we talk about Kai for a second?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, is Kai.
His white knight ass.
like, I mean, he was so intensely annoying. I was kind of glad that Yuuji laid him out, but
I love it how he shaved his head in shame and became Yuji's minion. You're so cunning, mouse.
Is it a trend in Japanese schools for people to just pull knives on other students? Like, is that a trend?
No.
Yes.
No, come on.
Because it happens a lot in anime series, and
like,
yeah,
but usually it's a box cutter, not a knife.
Listen, he upscaled. Like, he comes from upper middle class, so he can afford a knife. But anyway, like, you know, Japan is a shame-based society. Probably a lot of honor duels happen, but they can't afford swords, so they use knives.
Oh, jeez.
But like it's the same thing with school roof. Like you don't have access to those roofs
right?
in normal life.
Right, exactly. Like how many Japanese students are really going up to the roof on a regular basis, I wonder.
It's just to make the story more like it's to find a place within the school ground where you can isolate students.
Yeah.
So they kind of go with that, but it's just a writer thing. I don't think it's...
Yeah. I don't honestly think that a lot of students are trying to cut each other with knives because of whatever. But, that whole... I don't know, that whole thing. Okay, so I guess Mirage is saying it's much more comic relief thing, which clearly that's how it ends in Volume 1, is with Kai shaving his head and basically becoming a disciple of Yuuji. It's just...
Hey, listen, they're rejecting modernity and embracing tradition.
Oh man, well, I mean, he was such a self-righteous ass. And I loved how Toka shut him down hard. Like I mean, part of me almost respects him that he still had the energy and stuff to go after Yuuji after he got so trashed by Toka. Because most dudes would have just been shattered to pieces and that would have been it, you know?
Yeah, basically, he was trying to be the white knight to said fair lady, but the fair lady told him to fuck off.
Right? Yeah.
He was basically just mostly cringe.
Shame.
Oh, he's very cringe. Oh, yeah, absolutely. And then,
You know what's funny? I was half expecting him to wear a fedora. I'm just picturing him now with a fedora.
And then, Yuuji taking the one
Afterwards, he's still cringe, but in another way.
Yeah, well, I get that, yeah. Well, he's pretty...
Well, I thought it was going to be typical cringe. Oh, I'm going to beat up the bad guy. But then as soon as he pulled out the knife, I was like, okay, this is over-the-top cringe.
Telenovela cringe.
Right? Yes. Yes. And then Yuji just takes the one punch because he's like, I gotta let him, you gotta let him get it out. And then Yuji's just like, okay.
And that was the thing that actually brings him over to Yuji's side, was the fact that Yuji took his punch. And like it seemed like the dumbest thing ever, and Tuka even calls it out as like, why would you do that? But no.
Yeah, right?
It was successful, so...
I know.
Listen, they're connecting through manly fighting. Listen. Half the people I got into fights with, I became friends with at school. So this is actual thing in science.
It's scientifically proven. Well, and again, this is one of those things where you kind of sit there and you go, is Yuji really dense, or is he actually like hyper smart that he was just like, he needs to do this. He needs to get that. Like, you're just like, you're like, did you just kind of fluke that, or you actually knew that? I don't, although clearly he didn't know how far it would take Kai, because he was shocked when Kai showed up with his head shaved and everything else, didn't even recognize him. How bad a blow is that?
Oh yeah. By the way, that's a tradition in Japan when you basically want to apologize yourself, is you shave your head.
Yeah. Oh
like,
yeah.
The Yakuza have like cutting your pinky off. The general public shave your head.
I mean, that's very, very, very old school.
Yeah, right.
Like, I don't think anybody does that.
No, I don't think that's a common thing anymore.
I've heard stories of a few people doing it, but they're like niche. I mean, most of the time they do like the hyper bow of "Forgive me, senpai."
I remember there was an idol that was forced to shave her head for something a while back.
Yes, no, I remember that. Well, I remember that story. I forget the details, but I think it's because she had a boyfriend or something.
Think so.
Fucked up idol industry shit.
Oh Jesus!
Weird shit.
But how demoralizing would that be? You decide to dedicate yourself like almost in reverence to this dude. You shave your head and everything else. He doesn't even recognize you initially. Like, he doesn't even know who the hell you are. He's like, should I know you, dude? Like,
I assume he's gonna come up in the next few volumes as just like a new gag character. Who is going to be his little lackey.
He's going to call the main character Anarchy and be like his minion, give him manga and stuff, and eventually they're going to start wearing tattoos and then become members of the local Yakuza.
So in volume 2 he will have one scene.
Okay.
So it's not like he's going to be a major character.
Oh, that's good actually. I don't mind that. I think
maybe going forward in later volumes.
Listen, minions only deserve one scene, okay? They're just there to make their boss look cool.
Minions get several movies.
I hope Hisaki doesn't hide behind Ike or Ike again. Like, every single scene is like, there were at least 3 of them where Ike Hiruma was like, oh, I have to talk to you. And it's really, she has to talk to you, but she has to go through him. And it's like hiding behind his back. Like, the whole thing, I hope that gets cut out and that's not an ongoing gag.
Well, like I said, I think the author is writing it that way to try and sort of to prevent the reader from immediately knowing that Kana has a crush on Yuji, and to make it, again, like somewhat believable that Yuji doesn't know. Because
it's not really hard to
oh no
out.
Oh god, no.
I mean, especially if she's playing games, like if a woman likes you, like she'll play these fucking hot and cold games, like trust me.
Still like how she storms off and yells at Hiruma instead of anybody else that could have angered her in the scene. No, it's your fault.
Yeah.
Even though he was the one that stuck his neck out for her to bring her there.
Yeah.
But Kana is not playing hot and cold games. Definitely not.
No? Okay. All right. Well, see, our spoiler in residence here knows...
No. That's nothing about Volume 2.
That's just your impression of her.
That's just like the impression I was getting. Like she was like playing it, like she was like playing some games.
Like I'd say, I don't know. I don't know that I thought she was playing games per se, but I just think that she herself wasn't even sure how to deal with her feelings about it. That, because she seemed to flip-flop between that sort of nervous to sort of the whole accusatory, like you were saying, like, so we just like her for her looks and blah blah blah, and so
yeah, she's jealous. That's kind of obvious even from the first volume.
Yeah, that's what that was my impression. Like, pretty much from the get-go, my impression was that she liked him. But again, as I said, I liked how the author didn't make it so obvious that you sat there just shaking your head that Yuji didn't get it. You're like, okay, well, Yuji has a really twisted vision of himself, so I understand why her behavior he could interpret that she's afraid of him like everyone else, even though I, as an anime, light novel, manga fan, know that she's got a thing for him. Yeah, pretty obvious. So, but yeah, but you know what though? I liked honestly Yuji and Toka together. They were a couple that I actually found by the end of the book. I was pulling for them to actually become a real couple.
They're actually quite cute together. Like, I will admit that I was telling this to Alex, like, because I chat to him on the occasion. Like I said to him, I like the cover because it like kind of like immediately pulls you into this couple.
Yeah.
Like, you know, she's like cheerful. She's like, yeah, hello, and you see this guy. He looks a bit somber, but it's almost like they have almost like this yin and yang kind of thing. Like, it's almost like they fit together.
Yeah.
They have a lot of chemistry, and they both like. You know, obviously, you know, Tomoki wants to be friends with people, but, you know, people that want to be friends with him. And then, but he scares off people, which Tuka isn't a big fan of people. So they go together like peas in a pod that way.
Well, I kind of felt like it was also that kind of sense to me that they each have kind of the same problem. The whole being judged by factors outside of their control, but because of their different reactions to those things and because of how they were still a little bit different, they did complement each other. Like I said, for Yuji, his whole thing has been to be kind of just like laid back, like, you know, laissez-faire, like that's how it is. There's no changing it. There's no point fighting it. No point getting upset about it. That's just how it is. And whereas Toka, hers is, I got upset. I got angry. I pushed myself to my breaking point to try and beat him and everything else. So they both take these very different things and then they call each other out basically on it, right? Where she's like, you don't need to feel that way. Like, you don't need to allow those people to get away with treating you like you're a monster, because it's their problem, not yours. And then he at the same time is sort of like, I recognize that you are working hard. I recognize that you're a good person and that your own person, that it doesn't matter whether you're Ike's sister or not, right? And so they each kind of try to help each other with their problems because of how they're different in the way that they've reacted to them, right? Where she's kind of like, you need to get more uptight and you need to do more and you need to like stop being so passive. And he's like, you need to chill the fuck out. You're an okay girl. Right?
Yes, that's the thing that's good about their relationship, but that's also in their relationship, she's the bossy one and he's the yes man.
Oh yeah.
So that's basically the whole thing over again. What you just said, but they don't live what they preach.
Oh, I can believe that. Oh yeah. Well, and I mean, again, I don't expect that they're going to have an immediate reversal. They can't, like that. I mean, first of all, the series would be dead within one volume. Secondly, it doesn't mean that it means that the characters can't grow at all either. And I mean, again, who knows if they're even going to. I mean, light novels sometimes do a great job of that, and other times light novels just keep to the same one-note routine all the time, right? But again, I at least appreciated that the characters were recognizing those factors in each other, right? That they kind of each recognized the weakness in the other, even if they weren't really capable of recognizing it in themselves. And that was kind of like I was saying about Yuji, that he seems to recognize things about other people and about how they behave and about their motivations. And yet when he's actually directly involved in the situation, that's where he can't quite click it all together because of his twisted sort of ideal of himself and his own sort of personal hang-ups about himself. So, yeah. But I am looking forward to, I do want to know more about the teacher. I want to know more about the teacher. We talked a little bit about her and then we got away from her, but I want to come back to her.
Well, there's nothing much about her in the book, in the first volume to begin with.
We have to wait for the third volume.
Yeah, I guess we do have to wait till the third volume. It's too bad. I liked though.
I just like her design.
Well, I liked again, you know,
like she's not a Christmas cake, but she isn't a high schooler. Like she's a good like mix in between.
Well, fair enough. Yes, I mean she looks like an adult, but she doesn't look like, you know, she's a grandma. No,
hey, she's still lootable.
She's still lootable.
Oh yeah.
Well, she's legal. She's totally lootable. What are you talking about? Anyway.
Yeah, but the design is going to change. So.
Oh yeah.
Well,
we'll see.
But honestly, the artwork doesn't look that drastically different. Like, I mean, obviously we've only really seen the cover of the third volume, but I didn't think it looked so drastically different.
Shuko
that
looks pretty different though. If you do see her design, she looked pretty different. Toka.
Okay.
So in the second volume, there's artwork of all three girls in tennis outfits, and
yeah,
you couldn't tell that she's a teacher.
Yeah. So I have. All right, I'm gonna be wrong, but I have a prediction. So obviously tennis is gonna be involved in the story, and that's like Kana Hasaki's. You know, that's her thing. I wonder if they're gonna, you know, they're still exploring what Tuka is gonna be good at. So I'm curious if that plays into that, or is it just like, I challenge you to a tennis duel for Tomoki. Or is it gonna be like, you know, oh, I'm trying to find what you're good at. Let's try tennis. You know, it's gonna be one of those two things, I'm guessing.
You know, one of them is just gonna be friendly banter. The other one is I send you to the Shadow Realm.
The only thing I can say is no comment.
Okay.
Oh, jeez. So then, obviously, Terrence, I'm gonna say that you're probably right, one way or the other, because, you know, I'm pretty sure Mirage would at least say you're totally off base if you were totally off base.
No, I wouldn't.
Oh, okay. Well, then maybe I'm wrong. We'll have to all just read the second volume and come back and discuss it, and then we can, you know. And by that point, Mirage will have read the third volume, and then he'll be talking all the spoilers like subversively that we're all don't know about. And I'll tell him before that podcast, Mirage, don't read the third book. We're not talking about it. He will anyway.
And then I will fly over to Germany, and me and Mirage will be dueling on a local German church.
Pretty sure by the time we get to the second book in the podcast, Mirage will have read like the 6th or 7th book.
Well, there's only 3 out, right, in Japan right now. They only just put out the third one. I mean, that was one of the things with Alex when they licensed this. It was still a really new series. I mean, it still is really a new series. So yeah, there's only the 3 volumes, so it's not even really that far ahead. So we'll have to hopefully
quick, everyone learn Japanese so we can beat Mirage.
All right. No, was there anything else you guys wanted to talk about with this one? Or, I mean, we've talked mostly about the characters and sort of the themes and ideas. I mean,
like, I originally thought this was going to be like a generic rom-com shit, and I'm like pleasantly surprised that it's at least trying to do something somewhat different, even though I'm getting massive fucking Yahare, Soko Mei, and Bunny Girl senpai vibes from it. Like, I don't think it's bad. Like, out of all those shows, like, I definitely like I like this series more than I like Bunny Girl Senpai. And I actually liked Bunny Girl Senpai.
Flies wants to fight. Flies wants to fight.
I'll kindly disagree.
Well, listen, I'm thinking of going to AX with a couple of buddies of mine next year, so we can fight in LA. It'd be great.
Can you just restart but not together?
Like, I mean, honestly, I don't think you can
I just find this series more appealing.
Okay, well,
maybe
no,
it's the art stuff.
Fair enough. I mean, admittedly, like
at least this series doesn't have like puberty science pseudo magic.
Yes, I was gonna say, like, when it boils down to it, I mean, this, if you're looking for much more of a pure slice of life romantic comedy, this is more that than Bunny Girl Senpai, you know, because that obviously does have other elements to it that make it more of like a supernatural.
Yeah, when I say like, does not mean necessarily mean better.
No, I know exactly. Yeah, like, and again, you have got, and again, they're very different characters, right? You really can't even like, even the way their chemistry works with each other is different. So, although I guess Toka.
So if I had to recommend a slice of life rom-com, I would still recommend Toradora or Gamers over this one, but since we have so few of them overall, you could do worse.
Oh, I like
Toradora is a good one. We have all 10 volumes.
That's true.
In English.
That is true. Toradora is available in English. All the series is done. Yeah, I mean,
this podcast has been sponsored by Toradora. Buy now with the go to Bookwalker, promo code Justus Stone. Get 10% off.
Yeah, nope. Nope. I don't have any deals with 7Cs. Sorry about that, guys. But yeah,
one day.
But I do. Yeah, no, I think you're right though, Mirage. Like, you know, it for romantic comedy, especially when we really don't know just where this series is going to go. I mean, there's only 2 books, right? Like,
we do know that we are almost certain that it's going to be Toka and
well, okay, I
Yuuji
get that.
pairing at the end.
I'm almost definitely think it's going to be that, and if it isn't, I'm going to rage quit the whole goddamn
most
thing.
of these series, the final couple is pretty obvious from very early on.
Well, yeah, that's true. Well, yeah, absolutely. The question is, how will they get there, and what obstacles will be in the way as they go, right? Like, that is kind of the thing. So I don't know. Like, again, I did actually like this one. I was pleasantly surprised by it. I found it quite like very readable. I don't, maybe because there weren't a lot of moments where there were all these philosophical platitudes and stuff like that. I mean, it was basically just teenagers being teenagers.
Yeah, and I think that's what I like. I think this is what I like about it. Like, it doesn't try to bog you down with pseudoscience. Like, it's just very straight to the point. Now, when I say like it more, it does not mean I think it's better critically. But I think, like, if you want something nice to read, like, you can't do, like, side character's not bad if you want slice of life. If you want something nice to, like, something basic, something simple to read, I think side character, not a bad choice.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that, what I really liked about it, like, it's the fact that it's separated in smaller chapter. So for me, like, I'll read like maybe 2 chapters, then I'll go do something else, and then after work I'll read again 1 or 2 chapter, and like I think it's a more of a light read than, let's say, maybe Tanya the Evil.
Like, you picked like the complete
I was gonna say
really heavy stuff, like big page count with like 4 chapter. Like, come on. Put some break in there.
But you can't stop in the middle of a chapter, so you have to just keep pushing yourself through it.
So it definitely is an easy read, because I finished volume 2 in about 5 hours last Saturday.
Yeah, I know. It's well, and I think that that's kind of the thing. I mean, as much as the narrative of their relationship is kind of driving the story forward, it's not like, say, even Bunny Girl Senpai, where you have sort of one big story that encompasses the entire book, right? Like, I think you're right, Jean-Luc. Like, each chapter kind of feels like its own digestible little short story in their day-to-day life. You don't feel like you have to keep pushing through because you've got to read all 200 pages to get there, kind of thing.
Well, like, you know how most normal light novels that are like 4 or 5 chapters, they have like multiple different scenes per chapter, like that are numbered usually. It kind of just feels like they did that, but instead of scenes, they just made them all individual chapters.
Yeah, no, I agree. And, actually, well, I mean, you mentioned Tear Moon Empire earlier, Mirage. I kind of felt that same way with Tear Moon Empire. It was the same thing. I felt like the chapters were, it was a little shorter, and each chapter was like this just nice and rewarding little bit of story on its own.
Tear Moon Empire is a bit more extreme in that each scene is its own chapter.
Well, yeah, it's even more extreme than this one. But I do agree, Jean-Luc. It does. It always feels like the story is moving forward because you're not having these really super long chapters, or each chapter kind of feels like there's a little bit of a self-contained story to itself. It is definitely one of those books that you can just sort of sit down and enjoy and kind of read it at a pace that works for you.
Personally, I don't pay attention to chapters at all when I'm reading a book.
Oh, really? Oh, no, I'm one of those obsessive compulsive. I can't stop unless I'm at the end of the chapter.
Then you must never start to read anything by Terry Pratchett.
I won't. I know better.
Because he doesn't use chapters.
Sometimes, like when you're in the bus and like you have to stop, like that kind of pisses me off. But like with shorter stuff like this, like it's easier to like program your break before the bus stop.
No, I get it. I think again, because we don't have a lot of pure school life, slice of life stuff. I mean, really, we have what? Toradora, My Youth Romantic Comedy, As Wrong as I Expected, bottom tier character Tomozaki-kun. I mean, I don't know if we can really include Classroom of the Elite because it's got a lot of stuff going on that I don't think we would call typical school life.
Really.
Yeah, like there's not a ton, So and I think
you have the Yui stuff.
Yeah.
Bloom Into You.
Right. Yeah. Bloom Into You. Correct.
Probably Pretty Boy Detective Club. I'm not sure if that has supernatural elements.
Yeah. Let's say it's hyper real.
Ryo's Work Is Never Done.
Yes, the Ryo's Work Is Never Done. Yes. Again, slightly different because it's not like just high school drama. There's a lot other stuff going on, but I mean, you're right though. But it's like it's rooted in reality. It's not like there's a big paranormal element to it or anything like that. Obviously, but I honestly think that this one, you're right. Like in comparison to the light novels that we have, is it the best of them all? No, but is it certainly something that if you're a fan of that genre that you're going to be able to enjoy? I'd say yes. So, all right, cool. So those are our varied thoughts on There's No Way a Side Character Like Me Could Be Popular, right? Did we actually decide what we were going to do next? I know we were going to do...
I think we're going to do Far Away next.
Faraway Paladin?
We were doing Faraway Paladin next, and then we were going to do So I'm a Spider, So What, right?
Yes, I do believe that was the plan.
All right, so I think that's the plan.
Because I distinctly remember saying...
And then we're coming up to the end of the year again.
Yeah, we are. Oh, my Lord.
And we're going to have to do... Well, at least we're going to have to announce the J&C titles next time.
Well, we'll probably just do that as part of the news, because...
Hey, can we do a Christmas special?
A Christmas special. We'll have to talk about it. We've done a few weird things here and there on this podcast that were, like, not typical. We'll have to. I don't know. We'll have to figure something out.
I mean, we played the light novel the dice game. That was very popular.
Actually, the dice game episode was surprisingly popular. I thought to myself, honestly, when we were doing it, we're having fun with this, but I'm like, nobody's going to want to listen to this. And yet, yeah, it got like...
It was an absolute fucking shit show, and the ratings just went for the roof.
Right? Like, it was kind of bizarre. I thought, like, oh, shit, maybe we should try something. I don't know. Anyway, we'll figure it out. But anyway, so yeah. So next episode, we're going to cover...
Yeah, we could do maybe a holiday stream and share some stories and stuff on the holidays.
You could do AI Dungeon. Have you guys ever... played that? Have you ever seen that? It's like an artificial intelligence.
The only thing about
yes, I've seen it. My brother is playing that.
Using it to make ports.
That is the thing you could have. But you can do the safe for work on it.
What's AI Dungeon?
AI Dungeon. Okay, we'll talk about that ourselves and figure it out. But for the next episode, we are going to do the remainder of Faraway Paladin. And then
the remainder for now.
For now, yes, for now. And then the episode after that, we were going to do So I'm a Spider, So What? Because the anime is coming in January, isn't it? So when we're talking about the end of this year, the anime is coming out pretty soon to that one. Plus, we were also saying Kyle hasn't been on for ages, and he's read So I'm a Spider, So What? So
same here. I'm looking forward to it.
So you can get in on that one. We'll have to decide what we're going to cover volume-wise in that one, too. So, all right. So, cool. So, gentlemen, thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight. And to all of you listeners, thank you so much for listening. And we will see you in the next episode. Till then, bye-bye for now. For show notes and related links, visit lightnovelpodcast.com.